March 8, 2014, Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. The airport was, as usual, bustling and brightly lit. The clock struck past midnight. 1. The midnight takeoff. At the departure gate, a magnificent Boeing 777-200ER with the registration number 9M MRO was waiting. This was Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. Destination: the heart of China, Beijing. Inside, 227 passengers from 14 different countries and 12 Malaysian crew members. A total of 239 souls. In the captain's seat was Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53, with over 18,000 hours of flight experience. The first officer was Farik Abdul Hamid, 27, with 2,700 hours of experience. Everything was routine, a standard overnight flight. Passengers were dreaming of business meetings, or perhaps vacation getaways. The plane took off exactly at 0:41 a.m., 0041 local time. The sky was clear. Conditions were perfect. The plane entered its planned route, heading north from the southern hemisphere. It was preparing to exit Malaysian airspace and enter Vietnamese airspace. Everything, until that moment, was completely normal. 2. The last words before eternal silence. Approximately 40 minutes into the flight, the clock showed 1:19 a.m., 0119. Malaysian Air Traffic Control informed the flight that it was time for the handover. Tower Officer, Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh. Good night. Cockpit voice, good night. Malaysian 370. This was the last verbal message, from the cockpit to the world. The echo of that good night would never be so haunting. Because 2 minutes later, right at that moment, the aircraft's communication system, the transponder, which transmits critical information like location, speed, and altitude to the ground, was switched off. Communication was zeroed out, never to be switched on again. 3. The ghost flight. Vietnamese Air Traffic Control noticed that MH370 had not been handed over. Calls and inquiries began. Panic slowly spread. However, to civilian radar, the aircraft had vanished completely. Fortunately, there were military radar recordings. These records revealed a chilling truth. The aircraft had made a dramatic turn from where it disappeared. Instead of its planned northeast course, it executed a sharp U-turn, heading southwest across the Malay Peninsula. This turn could not have been a simple malfunction. This was a deliberate act. The plane was heading into the depths of the Indian Ocean, along Malaysia's western coast. At 2:22 a.m., 0222, it left the range of Malaysian military radar as well. It became invisible. From this point on, MH370 was simply a ghost plane. Its route, destination, and fate had become completely unknown. 4. Inmarsat's whisper. The plane had disappeared from radar, but not from the sky. The British satellite communications company Inmarsat, during a routine network check, noticed automated signals coming from MH370. These signals were called handshakes. Despite the hours passing, the plane was still flying. The satellite data showed that every hour, the aircraft sent a short signal, known as a ping, determining its position relative to the satellite's orbital arc. These signals indicated that the aircraft was heading toward the southern corridor of the Indian Ocean until its fuel was exhausted. The last handshake signal came at 8:19 a.m. 0819, followed by eternal silence. This meant the plane had either run out of fuel or had been intentionally shut down. The diversion and radar's blind spot. It was 1:21 a.m., just 2 minutes after the Goodnight Malaysian 370 message. The transponder went silent. This meant the aircraft had abruptly vanished like a ghost from civilian radar screens. However, the transponder was not the only system deliberately turned off in the cockpit. Subsequent investigations revealed that the aircraft's other critical communication system, the ACARS system, had sent its last data packet approximately 14 minutes earlier, at 1:07 a.m. 0107. It was disabled before the transponder. ACARS automatically reports the aircraft status, engine performance, and faults to ground stations. The fact that these two systems were silenced sequentially and at different times showed the strength of the deliberate act behind the crash. The aircraft made a sharp turn before entering Vietnamese airspace. First eastward, then southwestward, back into Malaysian airspace. This maneuver seemed like a carefully planned turn, executed by experienced pilots. As the plane crossed the north of the Malaysian peninsula, it climbed to an unusually high altitude of 45,200 feet, about 13.7 kilometers. Then it suddenly descended, flying at a low altitude as it passed over Penang Island, Malaysia. Experts suggested that this maneuver allowed the plane to enter radar blind spots and was done to disappear from sight. 5. Inmarsat, pings from the sky. All communication systems were off, but there was a glimmer of hope in Inmarsat's satellites. Although Malaysian military radar reported the aircraft's disappearance at 2:22 a.m. 0222, the aircraft's satellite communication link remained active. This link was not actively being used by the aircraft itself, but it performed an automatic ping exchange with the satellite every hour. It was like the plane performing a health check. These pings did not provide a specific location, but they provided two critical pieces of data. Burst timing offset, BTO, the round-trip time of the signal between the satellite and the aircraft. This time indicated how far away the aircraft was from the satellite. Burst frequency offset, BFO, the Doppler shift in the signal's frequency due to the aircraft's speed and direction. This shift indicated whether the aircraft was approaching or moving away from the satellite. Inmarsat engineers had to take this raw data and apply reverse engineering. They first calculated the signal strength and then the Doppler shift. The result was like a horror movie script. Instead of turning back to land or attempting a landing, the plane followed a straight and relentless course, as if set on autopilot, toward the south of the Indian Ocean. The last 7 pings indicated that the aircraft was along a large, curved line in the southern Indian Ocean. This line became known as the 7th arc. The final ping arrived at 8:19 a.m. 0819. The 8th and final ping A few seconds later, at 8 hours, 19 minutes, and 37 seconds, was only a partial handshake. This was a tragic whisper of death, indicating that the fuel had run out and the engines had stopped. 6. The darkness of the ocean, search efforts. Inmarsat's mathematical evidence guided the search area to one of the most remote and harshest seas in the world, the southern Indian Ocean. Here, there were stormy waters, trenches deeper than 4,000 meters for kilometers, and uncharted underwater mountains. The search was conducted in 3 phases. Acoustic search. The first few weeks focused on detecting the pinging signals emitted by the black boxes. Note, the black box batteries had a life of only about 30 days. Ships used towed pinger locators, capturing spurious pinging sounds. Unfortunately, these signals could not be confirmed due to ocean noise. Deep-sea underwater search, bathymetric survey. A detailed map of the ocean floor was created. This was necessary to plot a safe route for the search vehicles to operate. High-resolution sonar search. A massive area of 120,000 square kilometers was scanned with advanced sonars and autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs. These vehicles searched for aircraft fragments among the mud, rocks, and volcanic debris. However, the size and depth of the search area turned these efforts into searching for a needle in a haystack. The searches officially were suspended in January 2017 by Australia, China, and Malaysia. Subsequently, a search was launched in 2018 by the private company Ocean Infinity, based on a no-find, no-fee principle. They scanned 125,000 square kilometers of the previously searched area with high-resolution vehicles. Still nothing. 7. Debris and inconclusiveness. The sea had not erased the traces of the wreckage, but it scattered them around the globe. Starting in 2015, a total of 33 pieces were found on the eastern coasts and islands of Africa. The 7 confirmed pieces included the flaperon wing fragment found on Réunion Island and horizontal stabilizer parts found in Mozambique. These pieces had been carried thousands of kilometers by ocean currents. The examinations of the fragments could not definitively prove whether the plane hit the water at high speed or after a controlled glide. The inward damage to the flaperon suggested a glide to some and a violent impact to others. Despite all the evidence, the mechanism and intent of the disappearance remained in darkness. Even the final report published by the Malaysian government in 2018 concluded with the statement, "The reasons for the aircraft's disappearance cannot be determined." The lives of 239 people remain suspended in the eternal mystery of a flight that could never be found.